Hi everybody, Carlita here. So today I wanted to introduce you to my Silent Ecocide Redux book, which is the updated 2024 and 2026 edition from my 2015 edition of the book. Um, if you're not paying attention to book size when you're an author and you're publishing, sometimes mistakes can happen and you can get sent the wrong size book. Um, so I have a textbook version here, which I'll probably send to Kent University because they actually have my very first edition. So I might send this to them. And anyway, I wanted to read you a few passages from the Silent Ecocide Redux book, and offer you a glimpse into the soul of the book. Although these pages speak about deep ecology, extinction, conservation, exposing the greenwashing and political lies that manipulate environmental science to political agendas, and as well as what's really going on in the Amazon rainforest and the challenges facing our planet. The deeper journey is one of consciousness. So the other thing I provide in this book are some solutions that most mainstream environmental scientists do not talk about and will not look at as a realistic solution. I am somebody who faces these topics and themes, the ones that others are afraid to talk about because it might stop their paycheck, they might lose their job, or they might lose their research position, or people won't take them seriously anymore because they have a PhD. I would say I think one of the freedoms about not having these academic commitments that I chose not to have a long time ago is that I was able to do more, able to speak more outright about things that matter without it directly affecting me. That said, it still has directly affected me. I've been censored. I've had my accounts taken down from Facebook. I've had my a Facebook book page taken down, which had over several thousand followers. I've had my environmental groups taken down from social media. So it it, it doesn't seem to matter whether you have a PhD or not anymore today in today's environment. However, I think that's the essence of this book. It tackles those topics that other environmental scientists and ecologists or people in this field cannot touch because it jeopardizes their public face or, for whatever matter, their income. So, in essence, all of my work right now, everything I write about, even if it's an animal story or an animal rescue story, the deeper journey with wildlife and the conservation of the planet and our future is one of consciousness. It's a reflection of what happens while humanity forgets its relationship with the living world and what becomes possible when we remember that we are not separate from nature, but part of it. And everything I do, everything I write about, essentially is trying to put that message forward time and time again. That's why I'm involved with the work of Heart Math Institute and looking at what they're doing, because it's essentially the same core theme, and the evidence is becoming so unarguable. It's concrete. We are part of the planet and we are far more embedded into the planetary energetics and life force than we even understand. That's why my next book, Multidimensional Nature, goes into these different areas of multidimensional layers of consciousness, and how our biology is connected and interwoven into those layers. So the excerpts I've chosen explore compassion, interconnectedness, and responsibility that we share as caregivers of a remarkable planet teeming with life. So find a comfortable place and take a moment and join me as I read a few passages from this important book. I will come back to it and share more passages in the future with you. One alarming focus of this edition is the updated analysis on endangered species, which shows the number of endangered species has doubled in just 9 years, underscoring the global environmental crisis. By comparing the 2026 and 2024 data of that of 2015, we explore whether humanity has progressed or regressed and what future steps must be taken to address these urgent issues. So, unfortunately, I have to say, overall, the statistics and data show more of a regression than a progression in just 10 years. After working as an ecologist for 18 years, one thing I am certain of is that the environmental crisis is a crisis of consciousness. Nothing I or my fellow environmental conservationists do externally can be sustained for a long-term future unless we address the root cause. The unfolding crisis reflects the corruption in governments, corporations, and the economy, and the denial of our ecological relationship with the earth. Therefore, the root cause must be addressed before we can see any external transformation. Environmental exploitation, human exploitation, war, and violence cannot be solved solely through external means. The results will not be sustained unless we fully understand these issues stem from our misunderstanding of the world and our relationship to it. War is an internal process fueled by fear in the ego mind, which drives greed and power. Exploitation arises from delusions of superiority, dissatisfaction, separation, humiliation, anger, and pain. Our internal state is fragmented because humanity believes we are separate from or superior to nature. This belief in itself perpetuates violence against ourselves, the earth, and fellow species. We are nature. Our bodies are composed of communities of individual cells working in harmony to make our functioning organs and human body possible. Just as we live through cooperation of these cells, we must reorganize our interconnectedness with nature. As cell biologist Bruce Lipton emphasizes, we have much to learn from studying how cells function. When a single cell operates solely from its own benefit rather than for the good of the community of cells, it becomes cancerous or dysfunctional. Similarly, humanity has become a threat to itself, to other species, and to the earth because many of us are operating based on self-serving values rather than values that promote the well-being of our communities, fellow species, and the planet. We are part of the macro ecology, the grand scale of natural ecosystems. If we continue to act irresponsibly, neglecting to reprioritize our values and ignore internal awareness, this will inevitably manifest in the degradation of our external environment. We are deeply connected to the external world through our thoughts, perceptions, emotions, and actions. Everything that occurs internally is manifested externally in how we perceive and interact with our environment and others. Current research in quantum physics and advanced biology is discovering these connections. Once we align our hearts and souls with internal responsibility, we can achieve outward peace and harmony for the earth, the environment, and humanity. I will read a quote from Stephen Jay Gould, 1991. We cannot win this battle to save species and environments without forging an emotional bond between ourselves and nature as well, for we will not fight to save what we do not love. A new sustainable Earth requires a fundamental reboot of human consciousness from a corrupt hierarchical pyramid structure driven by greed to a multidimensional transformation that embraces our union with all life on Earth and in the cosmos. We cannot separate the healing work required for nature and humanity. The two are inextricably linked. We must treat ourselves and the planet as one entity. The outer Earth is a reflection of our inner consciousness, and there is much we need to reassess about ourselves. This is one of the core values of deep ecology. Sustainability empowers both the planet and people. It is the only way for humanity to have a chance of survival. This chance can happen if communities take it upon themselves to build new sustainability blueprints. We cannot wait any longer for governments to act in our best interests. The clock has stopped ticking and we are at a fork in the road. The only viable path is one that leads to a sustainable economy that operates within the Earth's natural carrying capacity and respects her resources. The corporate takeover of politics is driving global ecocide. The economy can be rebuilt on principles that respect the limits of Earth's resources, with strict parameters for energy companies and corporations to prevent the exploitation of our last great wildernesses for short-term gain. To achieve this, sustainable restructuring within governments will be required. Conservationists, ecological economists, sustainability experts, and environmental lawmakers should be given political power to replace the current oil barons, pharmaceutical and biotechnological stakeholders, bankers, and the elites who prioritize profit over the environment and human health. The rights of nature should be one of the highest values in any evolved civilized society. Unfortunately, we currently prioritize the destruction of the environment for money and power. Society's values and morals are upside down. Let us envision how we want the Earth and human society to look like in 20 years. Hope now relies on individuals willing to take responsibility and make changes in their lives to build bridges to a more sustainable future. We can each make daily commitments towards this vision, transforming crisis into opportunity. Einstein once remarked, "We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them." The process of building a better world must begin with rethinking our basic assumptions and exploring solutions to root causes of our problems. Sustainability was born out of the ecology movement. In ecology, we have a term called carrying capacity, which refers to the number of individuals a species can sustain within the environment's natural limits. When a species exceeds this capacity, it often leads to extinction or a bottleneck that impacts the environment, species survival, and gene pool health. For humanity to survive, we must live within the Earth's natural carrying capacity. Oligarch governments and corporations refuse to acknowledge these limits. They act as though no constraints exist because they are driven by a self-serving agenda, ignoring all the warning signs. To understand the benefits of sustainability, we need to look at the bigger picture. So that's it so far from me. I will come back with other excerpts from this book in the future. If you would like to buy the book, I now have my own bookstore, which doesn't involve Amazon because they've also, over the last 6 years, locked me out of my author account, and I've had no end of problems trying to get my books back, or back in control of my books, rather. I now have my own bookstore, which you can go to buy my paperback copies of my books. I have other ecology books there, and also I'll be putting out my new book, Multidimensional Nature, very soon. Okay, thank you very much.